Alright. Hello, and welcome back to the Shootin Gallery, or Aqua Shootin Gallery. This is the second episode, and I'm recording this right after the first one. I had a few more points written down, and I feel like I could keep going, but I didn't want the first episode to get too long or rambly, right? And in this way, I can record a bit, I can record a few episodes ahead of time, and kind of release them sporadic, what is it? Occasionally, with some time in between, intermittently. Whatever the proper word to use there is, I guess. I can release them slowly and then kind of take people's constructive criticism or see how people react to them and make changes accordingly or, kind of adapt the series as we go. I don't think there's going to be any major changes that we have to make, but we see, and yeah. See, and I guess I wanted to do long form, unedited content, and I was hovering my cursor over the stop recording button again because I told myself, something happened there where I stopped and I was thinking, and something told me, oh, you have to stop and start again because something went wrong or, it's not perfect, you know what I mean? And it's it doesn't have to be. This is not about being perfect. This is about getting it done in a sense and just practicing being present and existing. And being present and existing means you're gonna fuck up and lose your train of thought like I did in the first episode, and just shit happens. So we're gonna keep it rolling. What was I saying? Yeah. So I'm gonna record a few episodes, put them out, see what the feedback is, and then I don't necessarily have to change anything because again, this isn't I'm not editing, I'm not doing anything crazy, but maybe people don't like the smoking or whatever. Well, and even that, it's I'm just living my life, I'm doing my thing. If you don't like the smoking, then you don't like my content, so you don't have to watch it, right? Fair enough. I think that's what it comes down to, right? Yeah, and speaking of smoking, one of the things I wrote down here was hard drugs, because that is kind of, in a sense, part of my origin story, in the sense of the character, the character of Aqua, or Charles, that's my real name. It's through I'll go back even further. In elementary school, I said, didn't want to touch drugs, I didn't need them, I thought they were dumb, but halfway through elementary school, I started getting really depressed and not feeling like I fit in, not wanting to socialize, not wanting to be part of that, thoughts of running away and all that shit, most kids do. I feel like at one point or another, every kid has some sort of thought of running away or oh, this is so terrible and whatever. And then fast forward a little bit to high school, I was trying to find the people I fit in with, my clique, whatever, or my group. And in that, I ended up hanging out, I was kind of one of those people that kind of floated around and kind of, I could kind of talk to anybody. I'd fit in with whatever group, but then the group I felt the most, at home with, or just, the most myself, was the antisocial loners, the smokers, the kids making music, and then apparently doing drugs, too, so I fell in with that scene, and I would end up going to these parties and doing the drugs and just, thinking that I needed to do them to fit in, and to a certain extent, I also knew it was high school, and I knew there was time to experiment, and it wasn't too permanent in a sense, and that's not necessarily the way to go. I'm not encouraging this by any means, I'm just telling you my story and what my thinking was. I highly encourage everybody to think for themselves and make their own choices in life, at the end of the day, this was my choice, but I don't by any means think it was a good one. Sure, it gave me experiences that led me to this point, but it's not necessarily like, it's not always a safe decision or like the best choice, in the sense of, you like, if you don't test your drugs, you don't know where they're coming from, what could be in them, or what, like, it's not a fun game of Russian roulette, you know. I don't I don't suggest it. But that being said, I started hanging out with these kids, making music, falling into these habits, and through that, at lunch, I found that, like, I didn't want to go eat. Like, I felt weird about eating in front of people in grade 9 and 10, I'll say. So at lunch, I would just go and smoke. Like, I would smoke weed with the stoners or the people who would smoke in the pit, like our smoking area at school, and hang out with them. And that kind of started my habit, you could say, that I continue to this day even. And I'll kind of go into why I still do it, but I don't know, I just felt like that was where I felt more at home, and I felt more myself, so I kept going, hanging out with them. Fast forward a little bit further to the end of high school, and I kind of distanced myself from them even, but I still had the drug habit, and it's like, okay, well, this is getting a little bit out of hand. And then, yeah, pardon me, it took till after high school even to stop doing the drugs. Like, I was doing them for a little bit after. I would do them alone, and sorry, I would do them alone, and I would still get the highs, but then eventually it started getting to a point where I was just getting depressed on them. So I was like, okay, what the fuck is the point if I'm depressed when I'm off them, I'm depressed when I'm on them? There's no good that can come from this anymore, and if I keep going, I'll probably be homeless on the street, or who knows what else. Like, I could have been dead, honestly. So I just threw the last bit of what I had away, and I said, okay, that's it. Like, I'm done now. I just Cali sober, smoking weed, now weed and tobacco, and alcohol, you know, drinking, and then psychedelics. I feel like that's they need to legalize psychedelics for medical research and medical purposes, because there's so much benefit that can come from shrooms and psychedelics, psilocybin and stuff like that, sorry, there's so much benefit that can come from that it's just, it needs to be looked at as an actual possibility, because the fact that it's not, it's just like, it's lobbying and just people not wanting to open their eyes, frankly. Like, it's just people being ignorant at the end of the day. Because, and especially in a capitalist world, you can make money off anything, man. Find a way to make money off it and just legalize it, you know what I mean? That's what they did with weed, like. But yes, and that comes down to, now I'm Cali sober, and there's still a part of me that, in some sense, like, back then when I was doing the hard drugs, there was a part of me that thought, oh, you have to, like, do them to be creative, or, like, people are more creative on the drugs, right? And that's not true. At the end of the day, creativity is in you. Like, it's just, like, it's how you look at the world around you and perceive it and kind of internalize it, and it's what you do with it from there that makes you creative, right? And yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of people are missing. They don't really understand what creativity is. It's like, you look at shit and then you, like, have ideas based on what you're looking at. Like, I'm looking at a plant right now. What ideas come about from the leaves or the stem, or, like, you know what I mean? It's I don't know. It's almost something you can't teach. Like, it's almost like excuse me. It's almost like common sense in a way, you know? Like, sure, you can kind of teach it, or, like, critical thinking, but sometimes it just comes down to, like, how much of people had of it in the past to lead them to now. Like, I guess it is something you can practice and teach, but it's hard. It's very conceptual, very like I don't know. It's almost like the idea of the self in a way, and the ego. It's like you can spend a lot of time looking at it and researching and kind of like trying to understand what is it and what does it do, whatever. But it's almost a feeling, you know. You have to know, you know, or you have to be able to feel it to know. It's hard to explain. I feel like, but that's what Dualistic Unity, the podcast, talks about. They are trying to put words to it, right? And I respect it a lot. I was saying in the first episode, this is like me kind of training myself in a way. I understand these ideas conceptually, but now I have to put them to work, right? And really like tell myself and remind myself, because that's what they talk about on the podcast too. They say, yeah, sometimes you're gonna go back to that old thinking, but you have to question, like, why are you doing that, or where does it come from, like, you know. And I think that's very important. Like, the thing I have after the drugs is like thinking I need weed. It's like, okay, well, why do I wake up every day and I want to smoke first thing and then keep smoking all day, like every hour? Honestly, I could probably do 45 minutes. I'd probably be pretty toasted at the end of the day, but I don't know. I've been doing like every hour and a half, and it's like, that's a lot of weed. That's a lot of smokes per day. Obviously, you can hear in my throat it's a little dry right now because this is the second episode I'm recording in a row, so sorry. That's part of the fun of it, I guess. And we'll see how the audio sounds. Hopefully it's not too bad, or my voice isn't too bad in the sense of it's hard to listen to, you know, because I don't know, it does kind of, it hurts a little bit to talk, but it's not to the point where I'm like, I don't want to stop, I want to keep going, right? I don't know, I guess that does kind of go back to what I was talking about on live stream with wanting to make progress and constantly progress, and like take steps, feeling like you're going forward somewhere when there is no path, there is no journey, it's just the here and now. And this is something I want to do so bad. I just want to push through, like having a sore throat, and I just want to keep drinking water and talking and be able to create stuff, you know. That's honestly what I love doing with my time. What I want to be able to do with my life is just create, like whether it's art, whether it's like episodes like this podcast, whether it's like being able to create something of value to donate or to give to homeless people, or like I don't know, it's hard to even verbalize or quantify, because it's just this feeling of wanting to give back, you know. It's wanting to like almost create something out of nothing, or like create something from the idea in my head and bring it to life, and like I don't know. But again, it is like that almost comes down to the idea of myself and like what I want to do with my life and all that. But it's like, I don't know, I've had these thoughts since I was a kid. Before I was even thinking about the idea of myself, I told myself, well, you have to have a dream in life, you have to have some sort of purpose. What's your dream gonna be? And I told myself that my dream was gonna be to give back to the world in some way, because so many people take and there aren't enough people that give. And now I realize, yeah, it is a select few, like the 1% and the 0.1%, that are really screwing over the rest of the world, like the 99%. But it's like, I don't know, try to find a way to equalize that balance a little bit, I guess. I don't know, it's just, and then that kind of evolved to like wanting people, wanting to give feeling through art, because that's what I could do, right? I can do art, I can make stuff, whether it's painting, music, whatever it is. I want to like make people feel something, because that's like, at the end of the day, that's some of the realest shit, is just your feelings. How do you feel about something? I remember saying as a kid to a friend in high school, like, people are so focused on numbers and the analytics of stuff, but they don't want to focus on feeling or how does it feel to do stuff. It's like, we need more people who just feel, man. Doesn't sound like a hippie. We just need to feel everything, but it's like, you gotta stop thinking and conceptualizing, and obviously I love to do it, but you don't need to all the time, or it's not like, you are not your thoughts, right? You can kind of step back and separate from them a little bit. But yeah, going back to the pardon me, to the thinking I need weed, and why do you think you need to be anything? Why do I think I need to be anything, right? It comes back down to this idea of self, this idea of me and who I am and my ego and how I relate to other people and comparing and all this shit. It's like, you don't need to be anything. You just need to be present. You just need to be sorry. You just need to be in the moment, not overthinking shit, right? Like Kenny Beat says, don't overthink shit. That's as simple as it's gonna be, because like, I forget if I said it at the start or in this episode or the first one, but it's like sitting on a rock and watching your thoughts and disconnecting from them in a way, and just realizing, oh yeah, there's thoughts going by, there's a yellow one, there's a red one, like but it's, you are not your thoughts. You can just sit there and you don't even have to look at them. What if you just turn around and you're just looking at the, like, a forest or a field behind you, and there's no thoughts, and you know what I mean? Like, but I am someone who really likes to visualize. I feel like I have a very, I don't know, as a kid I would say like over imaginative or over active imagination. Right now I feel like I have like a damn near photographic memory, because like I can remember how stuff looks, and just like sometimes it's annoying, gift and a curse, I guess, but it is, I don't know, maybe that helps me be creative. Maybe that helps in a way with like how I can remember stuff, because sometimes I feel like I can remember stuff better than other people, but it's, again, that's just me comparing. It's like, oh cool, I have a good memory, but like, if I'm good at that, what else am I not as good at? And that goes back to the idea of like, everybody has something to offer, or you can learn something from everyone, because people are gonna like specialize in stuff, or like, there's only 24 hours in a day, so you only have so much time to do whatever you're gonna do, whether it's a job that you work all the time and now you're a master in it, whatever, or like, if you play a certain game and you're really good at that, but it makes you good at problem solving or strategy, or, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, I wish the world looked for those kind of skills just as much as like labor skills, or like what the score on your test was, or that kind of shit, because at the end of the day, school system's just meant to make like workers and slaves. Like, it's not meant to make free thinkers and free speakers, you know. It's yeah, it was set up by, what's his name, Rockefeller, right, with the oil money, just like everything. And then when you own the school system, you can own the medical system, because you can what is it, you can teach people about pharmaceutical shit that comes from fossil fuels, which, if you didn't know, a lot of medicine comes from fossil fuels, a lot of like plastic comes from fossil fuels, clothes, like lots of the gym clothes material, whatever, that's from fossil fuels, I'm pretty sure. And just like the list of stuff that comes from it is crazy, like asphalt, what is it, tires, yeah, rubber, plastic, like all that stuff, like, and it's crazy that again, it makes me wonder why they do it, or why they keep using that stuff, because there's no natural way to do the same thing that's like probably cheaper or better. Like, what about hemp? What about like all these other, what about seaweed? What about kelp and all this other, like, what about algae and, excuse me, like, why can't we look at these kind of materials instead of trying to dig up dead animals and decayed trees from millions or trillions of years ago. Like, we're not, for people who are so advanced and so smart, pretty damn dumb. I don't I don't know how else to put it, you know. It's, or like green energy. Like, the question I pose to people now, it's like, if we're trying to push for net zero carbon, which I think the whole carbon emissions thing is a scam, if we're trying to push for that, why are we allowing countries like China and India to use coal and fossil fuels still at the rate that they are? Why aren't we trying to help them create green alternatives and like share technology, and like, or companies could make money off selling the shit to them? Like, I don't know, just looking at the way the system is for 5-10 minutes, it raises so many questions and red flags, and my alarms going off in my head like, oh, they're just doing this shit on purpose. Like, obviously for the 2030 agenda now, like, that's what they're calling it. But, well, and I'm sure they've called it that for a while. But it's just so obvious and blatant now that they just don't give a shit, and or they're running out of time and they have to speed up the process. But it's like, even just thinking of that, that made me think of like old cartoons, or like, even I have the, like, a Transformers movie I used to watch. I had it on DVD so I could watch it a bunch. But just the fact that like the bad guys are always taking all this time, and it takes so long to plan, like to make their plan and to bring it to fruition, and then the good guys are aware of it right at the end. But that's why it feels so hectic, because it's right before the plan is like in place or working or whatever, and the good guys have to stop the bad guys, all in quotations, right? But it's like, that's the reason it feels like such an action-packed thriller or whatever, because you're more seeing it from the good guys perspective, that, oh, we have to stop the bad guys from finishing their plan, whatever, and then it's the fight at the end to, like, the bad guys are trying to make their thing happen and the good guys are trying to stop them. But yeah, I don't know. And then you look at shit like the CIA in real life, and it's like, oh, how many democratically elected dictators have you taken out and brought in, or sorry, democratically elected leaders have you taken out and then replaced with dictators, all in the name of democracy and free speech? Like, are you kidding? Like, this has to be a joke, right? Oh no, they just did it 10 more times. Well, obviously they're not joking then, are they? Like, shit, man. It's, takes all kinds to make a world, or to make a village, whatever the saying is. Takes all kinds, you know? Or takes all kinds to make the world go round, maybe? That sounds better. But yeah, we're packing up a toque, getting a little lost down the rabbit hole of the way the world is, and it is sad and frustrating, but and I can relate this to the entertainment industry. But a quote that RuPaul said, and I don't know where they got it from, whether it was their own or they got it from somewhere else and they're repeating it, but they said, what is it? You can look at the darkness, but don't stare, or you'll go crazy, and you'll go, like, don't stare at the darkness, you know? Like, you can look, don't stare. It's like, you know it's there, but don't give into it, you know? And I feel like that's oftentimes how I find the world. It's like, oh, I'm looking at it, and I just can't look away because there's a literal and figurative car wreck going on, and then it's like, oh, okay, I have to turn away. Oh, yeah. Look at this. The rest of the world is actually, like, chilling. It's not that bad. And then you look over and you're like, holy shit. And then you're stuck looking at the bad shit again, you know? But that's just how it works, right? They want to keep you looking at the bad shit, not even realizing there's a whole wide world out there that's not like that, you know, or not. Yeah, just the media, movies, entertainment, music, all of it, they're all in bed with each other. It's all Hollywood bullshit. Like, what is it? what was that song? Space is the final frontier, but it's made in Hollywood's basement. Like, I think that's a little on the money. Like I think they knew what they were talking about there. You know what I mean? And I wonder if you can find it anymore, if it got scrubbed from the internet now. But there's that old clip. I'm sure it was when they were streaming the footage live of this shuttle flying through space, and then you see Buddy's head pop up behind the shuttle. So obviously it's a miniature scene, and then he's like, "Oh shit!" And then you see him like duck out of the camera. But it's like, oh, so if that one was fake, and all these other ones, it's like, damn, man. Even Mythbusters did an episode talking about like, oh, the moon landing couldn't have been faked because, what's it? It was something along the lines of like, you can't fake the shots, and then they go along to literally fake the shots to exactly replicate them to what you see, and it's like, oh, so they're just showing us how they did it at this point. Like, what do you mean you couldn't replicate the shots or whatever? They did so, what's it? Like, jumping around on the moon with low gravity, that you can't recreate from Earth, or I'm sure you can, but they just didn't show how to do that part, so it leaves you guessing, you know? But it's like, fuck, man, it makes me wonder. It's like, was it in, what is it? Was it in the desert and they just put some filters on it? And like, it's so crazy to think about. It's like, damn, did they really do all of that just to win the space race and become the world superpower? And now we see the effect of that now. It's like, and see, I could go on talking about this kind of stuff forever, because that's like, I don't know, that's almost my meat and potatoes more than the talking about the self. But to a certain extent, this more practicing questioning the self and just like being present and living in the moment, and well, yeah, and hey, if that's what's on my mind, it's, you know what I mean, it's oh, life is funny like that, man. But yeah, coming up on 27 and a half minutes here, gonna rip the toke, and then we'll kind of keep this trail of thought going a little bit longer, and then we'll cut it there for the second one, and I won't record anymore and let my voice heal up a little bit, right? And then yeah, we'll see what happens for the third one, right? But yeah, like I was saying in the first episode, like I say on stream and when I go live, if you're not session, you best be blessing. I appreciate all y'all joining me for this experience and this conversation, you know, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear your thoughts on it, and just like how what I'm saying relates to your life, even though we're the same energy in different bodies, you know. So it's kind of crazy to think about, like, yeah, we're all just living all our own experience right here, right now, but it's all the experience of the oneness and the universe, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why everybody doesn't just call it one thing, and why we can't just like agree on the definition of God, and why people say it's outside of yourself, because it's like you and the physical and what you think and perceive in the universe, like it's everything, man. Like, I don't know, that's what I think anyway. But yeah, let me crack the window, we get to ripping, and we see where the mind takes us, man. Crazy journey. Even though there is no journey, it's just the here and now, you know what I mean. Now I just got it playing on the brain radio, you know. It's but yeah, cheers to that, man. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get absolutely slaughtered if I get this wrong, but I think that was Cobain and Nirvana, right? I forget the name of the song. I think is that California? No, Okay, now I'm just tripping. I don't know what I'm thinking about anymore. Cheers to that. I think we can haul it one more time. See? And see, I was just about to say, like, that's why it's nice having the freedom to do whatever you want. But then, I don't know, freedom, like, what is it? Freedom's an illusion too, in the sense of, what is it? Freedom, I have a bar about this, and I want to take a second to pull it up because I feel like it is really relevant here. This one, I think. Yes. I'm in a cage up in my brain, I'm never leaving. I can always walk around, but freedom is deceiving. I've been serving people with no faces when I worked at the gas station. Daydreaming of getting faded, cause I think that I've been on a different page, but I'm still gracious. So that was from my song, Caged But Gracious. So that one's up on SoundCloud, and it should be up on all platforms, I'm pretty sure. But I think that, like, the bars still relate to now, because it's like, yeah, you can walk around outside, you can walk around wherever on the world, but it's like, you're stuck in your mind if you can't get past that, you know? Or you can't get out of that, in a sense. And it's, again, that's something I'm practicing and I'm working on, because I know that to a certain extent there is times where I can't escape my brain, which feels like a cage, but it's an illusion in itself. Like, you're like, I don't know, the only cage is the brain and the skull, I guess. Like, and I guess the imaginary lines we draw in the sand, right? Like, it's funny. And then you go outside of that, and it's like, oh, and then we're trapped on the planet, we're trapped in space, we're trapped in the physical reality, like, you just keep going, man. Where are you trapped? You're not trapped anywhere, you're trapped in your mind, you know? And if you can't escape that, how are you gonna, like, escape reality, in a sense? Escape the Matrix, you know? The Matrix is the mind, in a sense. But yeah, what else do I have on my list here? Going back to, like, entertainment and people being corrupt and stuff, it does kind of go back to the phenomena, and that's more, like, for anybody who hasn't heard, that's more just a word for, like, ghosts, aliens, angels, and devils. You can just put it all under one big umbrella category and just call it the phenomena, and just have, like, everybody experiences it in different ways, you know what I mean? But in a sense, it is, even the phenomena is still me, just in a different physical form or spiritual form, I guess, like, whatever you want to think of it as. And then that kind of goes, like, I feel like you can almost quantify it with, like, stuff like residual energy, which, I don't know if y'all have seen it, there's a video I saw on Instagram going around of a scientist put a leaf on a tray or whatever, and they cut the end of the leaf off, and then they shone I'm pretty sure it was a black light, or some sort of light where you could see the, like, light coming off of the leaf, and you could see there was residual energy where that cut off piece of the leaf was, but is no longer. It kind of had, like, an outline around the perimeter of the whole leaf, including the piece that was no longer there, you know? So it's almost like, is that what ghosts are? Is that what, like, are they the residual energy of our soul when it was here? And like, how does that relate to the afterlife and angels and demons and all this stuff? It's like, it's, if you can quantify it in one field, in one sense, like, does that not give it some solidity and some validity? You know what I mean? Make it valid. And then that kind of gets me thinking about the chronometer. Here, let me sip some water. So, the chronometer is, it's talked about to be technology in the Vatican that you can, like, look back in time, and people said that they've seen Jesus' crucifixion and, like, Abraham Lincoln or JFK giving a speech, I think, or no, some JFK or somebody giving a speech that would have been, like, way far back that nobody in our current time could have ever seen it, you know what I mean? And it's, yeah. It makes you think, it's like, is that the residual energy of time and the people that were walking around on the planet before? That almost kind of relates to, I heard somebody talking about how the military in, like, the 70s, like, now when they use night vision or whatever, they have goggles that are green laser or white. I think it's white phosphorus and green something in the lens, but they used to use red. And soldiers were reporting seeing demons and getting PTSD of the shit they saw through these red lenses, because I guess they were describing it as, like, the demonic dimension, or, like, the fourth dimension, whatever you want to call it. But so they were seeing some sort of entities that weren't human. And in the video I saved, I'm pretty sure they were even talking about, like, they were doing rituals or shit. They could see them performing rituals or dancing in a circle in some sense. And it's like, well, holy shit, is that going on? We just can't see it? And is that what we feel by, like, dark energy and all this? Like, I don't know, it's crazy to think about, right? It's like, I don't know, maybe that's the kind of information these secret societies and, like, the CIA and all them are hiding from us, because they think we can't handle it. It's like, just put it all on the table, man. We're gonna come to terms with it sooner or later, you know? Kind of like time travel. I feel like that has to exist, because if it exists in the past and you can go back in time, doesn't that mean that it exists in the past then, because you time travel to the past? So, you know what I mean? And then time, I feel like it's not even a line. It's just like, in a sense, you're choosing where to go, like it's a line, but it's just like moments in the present, you know? Yeah, it's just, it's like Freemasons and all them, like, what do they know? How long have they been around, like, collecting knowledge and information that they pass on through their organization? But you have to, like, be initiated to even, like, hear the start of it, you know what I mean? And that kind of goes on to, like, presidents. Like, Trump was saying, oh, I'll expose the JFK files or aliens or whatever, and then he got elected, and then he goes, oh, well, if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't want to say anything either. And it's like, well, for one, what did you learn, or what do you know? And two, well, obviously that's just a tactic to get elected, whatever. But it's like, I feel like obviously he does know stuff, because they apparently there are theories that, like, the Trumps are time travelers. So it's like, I don't know, man. And then it makes me think about, like, Skynet, Terminator, Matrix, like, all those movies, and how entertainment, they seem to often predict the future or just tell us what's going to happen, and then, oh, all of a sudden, there it is happening, and, oh, we saw that in this movie or this show. Like, yeah, I don't know. Life's kind of crazy like that, you know? But to avoid rambling on anymore and just going off on, like, different tangents and subjects, I'll try to get more, like, when I talk about these things that I've seen, I'll try to get more names of stuff so we can look it up, and maybe I'll do it on stream even. Some of the stuff I talk about on here, I could look up on stream, and then it gives us more time to really research stuff, right? Because I did a stream about researching, like, Marxism and communism and Maoism and all that shit, and it's like, you can go down some crazy rabbit holes doing research, you know? But we won't put that in these videos, obviously, right? But yeah, I appreciate all y'all for watching. Again, if you liked the video, hit like, consider subscribing so that you see when the next one comes out, right? And yeah, we'll see what the future holds, and in the sense, what the present holds. Because if you're present, there's only the now, right? But yeah, I appreciate y'all. I love you. Stay safe. Good luck. Ease.